Every New Year's, people be like, man, this year was crazy. But every year it don't be crazy like that. Okay, 2020 was crazy. But low key, 2024 was kind of crazy. You got Drake versus Kendrick, Apple Intelligence kind of sucks. P. Diddy is literally in jail. I don't think people are talking about that. He's sitting in there right now. I think there's aliens, but like in the water. Then the freaking election. Alright, welcome to Tait's Take. If you're new here, well, for a video like this, it's actually kind of unlikely that you'll be new here. But in any case, if you are indeed new here, today I'm giving y'all my favorite movies of 2024. If that's something you're into, hit that subscribe button for your boy. For my regular Tait's Takers, let's see if this list is very mindful and very demure, or if it crashed out. That's like 2024 lingo that I was doing there. You see like what I did there? Because it's lingo, but for this year. Okay, first things first, housekeeping. Would you believe that this is my 5th time around doing a list like this? A lot of things have changed since 2020, but the housekeeping has remained the same. This is not a list of the best movies of the year. This is just my personal favorite movies of the year. If you disagree, you can go ahead and put your list in the comments. If you think, no, there's no way he saw this one movie, because if he saw this movie, it would for sure be on this list. I know Tait, and this will be on this list. Let's just keep the comments cordial and respectful. But if you come in there talking about I forgot Joker 2, I will block you. Okay, housekeeping is complete. The house is now kept. And you know this wouldn't be a top 10 list without me cheating and adding a couple honorable mentions that just didn't quite make the list. This year I got 5.5, and don't you worry. By the time I get to it, the half will make sense, I think. Now I'm gonna drop these honorable mentions in order of their release, not like ranking order. None of them are more honorable than the next. They all carry great honor. Starting off with Mean Girls, the musical, and I know I already lost about 6 people right there, but I gotta live my truth. Find me another list that got this movie on it. I know I'm by myself. As a diehard plastic and fan of the original movie, I knew they weren't gonna top the original, and I don't think they were even trying to. You got Tina Fey back for quality control. Renee Rapp is an icon, you can't tell me different. All the Easter eggs you can handle, and this shit is actually funny. Me, my sister, my cousin, we've all seen the original Mean Girls no less than 100 times. So I'm sure that part of the reason why I like this movie so much was the fact that I actually got to go to the movies with them on a Wednesday wearing pink. Great night out, great movie, 4 for Glen Coco. Next up, we got Civil War. Now this movie was on my list, then I took it off, and I put it back again. The first 3/4 of this movie was 5 out of 5. I haven't felt this level of anxiety watching a movie in a long ass time. Jesse Plemons alone makes this movie fire. If you know, you freaking know. But I got 2 problems with this movie. The first, I hated not knowing why we were even in a civil war. The director said, oh, you don't have to know why we're in a civil war. You can just look around the country and see why would make us go to a civil war. I don't even know what you're talking about. Just because we got a couple disagreements on Twitter politically, or some people are shouting at each other on Fox News, I don't see the connection to getting into a full-blown war. We don't even fight like that no more. We might create a burner account and say some mean things on Reddit, but picking up actual artillery and killing each other? Nah. That's too much of a leap for me. I might be naive, but I just don't see it. Anyway, the second thing, and of course no spoilers, the ending. I couldn't even believe it. This movie, I was like, this movie's about to be good. And it just didn't stick the landing for me. Y'all can let me know if you feel different in the comments, but Civil War on the list for honorable mention because of the theater experience. I was literally on the edge of my seat, and I have to recognize it for that. Next up, we have Babes. Babes is a movie that I got to cover at this year's South by Southwest Film Festival, and wow, what a cute little movie. I will never not love Alana Glazer, and she really hits this one out the park. There's no shortage of movies about having kids, making babies, and complicated stuff with parents and raising the kid and keeping it or not keeping it, but she just does something really unique with this one. And at the core of the movie, it's really about friendship, and I just think it was an underrated movie of 2024. If you haven't seen it, please go and check it out. Alana Glazer always delivers. Next up, we have The Substance. The Substance was the last movie I saw at this year's Cannes Film Festival, and it was also my favorite movie from the Cannes Film Festival. Now, I will say, going to Cannes this year for the first time was excellent. I've never been to France before, and I was so embarrassed that I didn't know any French, but if I get to go back, I'm not going to embarrass myself. I've been taking Duolingo, but that's not important. It's not what you're here for. The movies weren't that great at Cannes, but just the overall festival is 10 out of 10. I will go back as many times as they will have me. But The Substance just stuck with me. If anybody knows anything about me, is that I don't like to watch anything that's gross. If I'm watching a basketball game and someone twists their ankle, I'm for sure not watching the instant replay. And it's not even no blood. This is the grossest movie I've ever seen in my life. When I first watched this movie, I think I tweeted, if there's anyone that could watch this movie without looking away at least once, you need to get checked. It is so crazy. Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, even Dennis Quaid just bring us a very interesting look at the problems with body positivity and Hollywood. Now, believe it or not, I'm not a woman in Hollywood, but I can imagine the amount of fucked up age and beauty standards those women are held to. And this is just a very unique look at all of those things. You gotta watch it. I can't even explain it the right way. But if you like body horror, I don't know a better one, especially for this year. So yeah. Next up, we have our late edition, and it's none other than Wicked. I know. It's gonna be people mad that it made the list, and it's gonna be people mad that it's not in the top 10. You can't please anybody these days. Just remember that. But yeah, I never seen the play, damn near never even heard of it. Had no idea it had such a huge following. But this movie eats. Cynthia put her foot in all of those songs, and Ariana Grande has turned me into such a fanboy, I don't even know who I am anymore. I'm gonna be at AMC theaters every week scratching my neck looking for part 2. Okay, last but not least, my half credit honorable mention goes to the 10th anniversary re-release of Interstellar. Yup, straight up cheated. I saw this movie back in 2014 when it came out, and I don't think I've seen it since. Had the opportunity to check this out a couple weeks ago in 70 millimeters at the largest IMAX screen in the country, good old AMC Lincoln Square, where people were reselling tickets for over $200, which is crazy. But yeah, this movie has no business being on a 2024 list, but the $25 million this thing made at the box office proves it's a timeless classic. I felt like I was watching it for the first time and fell in love with Murph all over again. Ugh, why did he leave? Just stay. You didn't have to go. Ugh. Anyway, I hope some of y'all got to check out this re-release before it left theaters, but if not, you could just come here and watch it on the biggest screen in my house. On to the top 10. Number 10, Sing Sing. Now, this is actually a movie I saw last year at the 2023 Toronto International Film Festival, but the wide release wasn't until this year, so it still counts. I hope people have heard of this movie, but if not, this is a movie starring Coleman Domingo that talks about the rehabilitation through the arts program that was started back in 1996 at Sing Sing Prison here in New York. Now, this program brings music, dance, poetry, and of course, theater to inmates. So in the movie, while dealing with all the burdens of what comes with being incarcerated, you get to see how the program works and how these inmates come together to put on a play. And that's very cool. But what's even cooler than that is that, like I said, this is a true story. And in this movie, some of those same inmates that are part of this rehabilitation through the arts program are being played by actual inmates who are acting as themselves. Did you know that in the Beat It music video, Michael Jackson hired some real gangsters? Like, yeah, there's dancers in that video, but there's also real Bloods and real Crips. This is kind of like that. I'm always going to find a way to bring it back to Michael Jackson. And speaking of Michael Jackson, did you know that Coleman Domingo is going to be playing Joe Jackson in the Michael Jackson biopic that's going to be released next year in October? That's neither here nor there. Do you understand how cool it is to even have a program like this? Now, of course, prison is for punishment, but it's also supposed to be rehabilitative. So having something like this, it just needs to be more widespread. I hope they get some more funding and they can spread it out throughout the country. But it's cool to learn about it, and it's cool to see this movie, and I hope it gets some awards when award season comes around. If you want more information about the rehabilitation through the arts program or want to donate or help out, I got information in the bio of this video. So check that out, but also go check out Sing Sing. Number 9, Piece by Piece. Got to see this movie at this year's Toronto International Film Festival. Also had the opportunity to talk to the director, Morgan Neville. Very cute opportunity. Did you know that he also directed Won't You Be My Neighbor, which is the documentary about Mr. Rogers, an American icon? Anyway, allegedly, Pharrell said that he never really wanted to do a biopic movie. Then the idea of doing it, Lego came about, and he's like, this is the only way I would make a biopic movie, which is the most Pharrell thing I've heard in quite some time. They even got the Lego group to switch up the design of the Legos to more accurately represent black features and black culture. And if you watch this movie, you will see a lot of the visualizations of the music, which is a nod to Pharrell having synesthesia. Did you guys know that he has synesthesia? Do you guys know what synesthesia? Do you guys know what synesthesia is? It basically means that words and sounds have colors associated with them. Like to them, a certain song could be orange and they can see music. It only affects about 4% of the population, and Pharrell is one of them. Grew up listening to Pharrell, of course, but never really knew his origin story. He truly is the Quincy Jones of our generation. It was just cool to see his story played out using Legos. Another cool thing about this movie is that all the little guest features that he has on there, Missy, Chad, Pusha T, Kendrick Lamar, Jay-Z, all those people agreed to do the project, no problem. They're sitting down, talking, giving their, version of the stories, but Pharrell never told them they were making a Lego movie. He just told them we're making a movie. So I guess it's kind of cool, because maybe if they told them that it was Lego, they would have changed their voice, or maybe made the story a different way, more kid-friendly, but they just kept it 100, and I think that paid off. I feel like no one talked about this movie when it came out. This thing made $10 million on a $16 million budget. In Hollywood, that's a big no-no. But one thing I'm going to do here at Taste Take is uplift black stories. Listen, in a world where the amount of black heroes we have is dwindling due to the crimes of their past, I will always uplift the ones that we got left. Please check out Piece by Piece if you haven't yet. Someone needs to watch this damn movie. Number 8, Dune Part 2. Now look, some of these movies, like Piece by Piece, is probably not going to be on anybody's list. But some of these other movies, like Dune Part 2, is going to be on everybody's. And high key, if I'm keeping it a hundo with you guys, I wasn't even going to watch Dune Part 2. Because I thought Dune Part 1 was just a freaking snoozer. And maybe because it was in the Pandiski, and I was just a little tired of just watching long-ass boring movies. But I was not going to watch Dune Part 2. I started listening to some of the reviews, and they were like, oh, this is one of the best movies ever. You got to go see this. And I was like, you know what? I got AMC A-list. We're going to the movies. So I pulled up in freaking Dune Part 2, and I was like, wait a minute. This movie's fire. Now, question for the crowd. Am I the only one that thought Dune Part 2 was way better than Dune Part 1? Or am I missing something from Dune Part 1? I need to know in the comments. Do I got to go back and watch Dune Part 1 all over again? Because I just thought it was two totally separate movies. A true movie epic was Dune Part 2. This was a true movie epic. It looked great. It was acted great. Of course, you can't go wrong with Timmy C. Congratulations on making the list of the top 5 white boys. Well deserved. Queen Zendaya. I will never not love Florence Pugh. Then you got a fire performance by Javier Bardem. Listen, Dune Part 2? Okay. You go, Dune Part 2. Number 7, My Old Ass. In the same vein that I will never not love Florence Pugh, I will never not love Aubrey Plaza. This movie came out of nowhere, and I knew I had to support it, but I didn't know that it would be on my top 10 list. My Old Ass is a story about an 18-year-old Canadian girl named Elliot who takes some shrooms with her homies and ends up having a conversation with her older self. This is the 39-year-old version of Elliot, who's played by Aubrey Plaza, and she gets to tell her all the things she should and shouldn't do.
I thought I'd be happier at 40.
You are happy, and I'm not 40, asshole.
You don't look happy. I feel like you're having a midlife crisis.
Well, I feel like you're high on mushrooms, so you don't know shit.
I went to watch this movie because A, Aubrey Plaza was going to be there answering questions, and it was a true honor to breathe her air. If you know, you know. And 2, because I'm going to watch anything that she's in. I just wasn't expecting a movie about tripping off shrooms to be this meaningful. They usually aren't. Maisie Stella plays young Elliot, and you would not believe that this was her first movie. Damn, girl. That's a natural. And my man Percy Hines White, who plays Chad, could he possibly be the most unhateable male love interest of all time? Yeah, Jack Dawson, I said it. But yeah, this is a real good movie. It's well written, it's funny, it's powerful, and there's a chance that you might cry. I obviously didn't cry. I don't cry in the movies except that one time. But just don't go in there and say I didn't warn you, because this is me right now warning you. Number 6, Bad Boys Ride or Die. Do you know how hard it is to keep a fan base interested in a franchise for over 30 years? Do you have any idea what other comedy or action comedy has been able to do such a thing? I'll have to think about that. Let me think. Once you get over the fact that this movie's not called Bad Boys for Life, you realize that it's better than the third one, just as good as the second, and a smidge below the original. Because a classic is always going to be a classic. Somehow, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence both look better here than they did in the third one. And they give us everything we know and love about buddy cop movies, and everything we know and love about Marcus Burnett and Mike Lowrey. Not to mention Reggie coming out of nowhere and stealing the whole damn movie. Listen, in a year where we also had the return of Beverly Hills Cop, which, while enjoyable, was not nearly as good as this movie was, I gotta respect it. After 30 years, these two are still doing it. Welcome back, Will Smith. Number 5, Challengers. Listen, when I called Zendaya a queen a couple minutes ago, I meant that. This movie encompasses 3 of my favorite things. Number 1, Zendaya. Number 2, tennis. I've been watching this sport damn near my whole life. And number 3, love triangles and freaky scandals. The writer of this movie is a dude named Justin Kuristic. Fun fact, he's also married to Celine Song, who wrote Past Lives. 2 heavy hitter movies. Past Lives was what, number 2 last year on my list? Number 3? Listen, that's fire. Justin got the idea to make this movie while he was watching a 2018 tennis match between Serena and Naomi. This is the one where Serena got in trouble for talking to her coach during the match, which was crazy. Her coach didn't even deny it. He was like, yeah, I was talking to her during the match. All the male players do the same thing and nobody says anything. Gangster. So yeah, Justin never knew it was a rule and thought it was crazy to get penalized for something like this. So he's like, damn, what if you had to tell someone something really important, but you weren't allowed to? What if you had to tell someone something personal? And then he fucking wrote Challengers. This movie is well acted. It grabs your attention from the beginning to the end, and it's scandalous. I love sports movies, and we were long overdue for a good tennis movie. I mean, there's King Richard, but that's like a true story, you know? Number 4, Dee Dee. Did you guys not watch Dee Dee? Listen, Dee Dee was another film festival movie. This movie debuted at Sundance and was also a part of the South by Southwest Film Festival from this year. Okay, listen, before we get into this, let me just touch on this real quick. Here's a weird thing about getting older, and I'm gonna hold your hand while I say this. Getting old is realizing that movies that take place during the early 2000s are now period pieces. I don't feel good saying it, but I had to say it. Okay, now that we got that out the way, Dee Dee is a coming-of-age story about this Taiwanese-American kid named Chris. Chris is in the 8th grade, and he lives at home with his older sister, his mom, and his grandma, which is his dad's mom. His dad is still back in Taiwan working to put food on the table, allegedly. Anyway, because of this, most of the responsibilities of running this household fall on the mother, who's got a mother-in-law who's always breathing down her neck, criticizing her for everything she does. Chris, who also goes by Wang Wang, is played by Isaac Wang, who my real ones would know from Good Boys, possibly the funniest movie of the 2010s. Anyway, Chris is just trying to figure out how to make it as an 8th grader, keeping up with your friends, how to talk to girls, and making the older kids like you. Very relatable stuff for the average middle schooler here in America. Fun fact about the movie Dee Dee, though, if you guys did see it, besides Chris and his older sister Vivian, all of those kids in the movie were just from the streets. They literally went street casting to find the most authentic, realistic kids they could. None of those kids had ever acted before. And you watch that movie and I'm like, there's something authentic about these kids. That shit actually paid off. I'm like, these are some of the funniest kids. And it just seemed natural. And I'm like, damn, when I heard that, I was like, this makes a lot of sense. So if you watch it, you'll see. These kids don't got no experience, but they brought the heat. Now, believe it or not, I'm not Asian, but watching this movie helped me to realize how similar the immigrant experience is across the cultures. Me and my sister were the first born in the US, and watching this movie, I know what it was like to be embarrassed of your family doing anything that was remotely cultural because your American friends wouldn't understand it. You gotta get older to realize that those little quirks and weird things that your family was doing, that's exactly what makes you you. And it takes a while for you to really appreciate that stuff. So in this movie, you'll just see Wang Wang just trying to pretend that he's not really Asian. That's something he got to fight with, as an 8th grader. So just watching this, like if you're like me or come from that kind of immigrant background, you're going to resonate with this movie a lot. This movie is funny and it's heartwarming. It's just kind of sad to see this mom do her best to try to raise these kids. But one thing I know is that teenagers are always going to teenage. Number 3, Anora. Oh, my sweet, sweet Anora. Now, this is another movie that I watched at this year's Toronto International Film Festival, but this movie actually debuted at Cannes, but I was already gone before they had its opening night. If I knew they was bringing this kind of heat, I would have changed my damn flight. Anora is not a sleeper pick. Anora is going to be on a lot of people's lists. It won the freaking Palme d'Or at Cannes. It's going to be nominated for Best Picture, and I hope it wins that shit. This movie is just fun from beginning to end. I love what Sean Baker did here, and I'm now obsessed with Mikey Madison. Fun fact about Mikey Madison, Sean Baker actually cast her without an audition after seeing her in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Scream. He said that she learned Russian, visited strip clubs, and was working on that Brooklyn accent, which between me and you is probably the worst part of this movie. I didn't know where Mikey Madison was from when I was watching this movie, but I knew she wasn't from here. But I'm willing to look past all that. Anyway, if you haven't seen it yet, go see it. Great writing, great story, great performances. I think Anora is still playing in a couple theaters, but it's been available on digital for the last couple days. So go ahead and grab that, or if you just want to wait it out, it's going to be playing exclusively on Hulu. A complete roller coaster of a movie, which is very fitting for its Coney Island backdrop. Number 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Now, when I was watching this, you couldn't tell me they wasn't using real apes in this movie. This is the most impressive visual movie since last year's Avatar, which was obviously life-changing. This thing looked fire. Okay, I've been a huge fan of these newer Planet of the Apes movies. All hail Caesar the God. You have my undying loyalty. The first 3 movies are all fire. Some people even say that this could be the best trilogy of all time. Shout out to allegedly Amanda. So it will be a lot easier to quit while you're ahead and avoid all the pressure of messing this thing up. But when movies make money like them, you're going to keep making movies. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes made $400 million on a budget of $160. I just remember for a long ass time that this was my favorite movie of the whole year. I mean, I don't know what y'all think about the whole year of 2024. There's been a lot of good movies, but not like a lot of good movies. But as soon as I saw this, I was like, this is my favorite movie of the whole year. And I kept on going until I got to, my number 1. But I just found the movie to be so good. This movie takes place like 300 years after Caesar has died. It's a whole bunch of new ape civilizations. Humans are out there still getting punked. But there's pockets of intelligent human life that are popping up. And that's where our main human character Nova is headed. This Kingdom of the Apes movie is supposed to be the first of a new trilogy, and the next one is supposed to come out in 2027, and I can't wait. And if these movies don't teach us nothing else, is that no matter how terrible these apes are, humans will never be outdone.
Life is a mystery. Everyone must stand alone. I hear you call my name, and it feels like home.
Number 1, Deadpool and Wolverine. Listen, I thought the MCU was dead. And as soon as I had that thought, Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds came through and gave it the wettest, sloppiest, mouth-to-mouth resuscitation you ever did see. And time will tell how long that lasts. But for 2024, they got this thing off of life support. Now, again, to remind you, this is just my personal list of my favorite movies. And I am a diehard Marvel movie stan. I remember leaving the theater after Avengers Endgame and feeling sad because I didn't think I would ever have a movie going experience that the Infinity Saga brought me. Like, ever again. I'm not saying Deadpool and Wolverine is as good as Avengers Endgame, but after the last couple years of terrible MCU shows and movies like Spider-Man No Way Home and Deadpool and Wolverine just give me a little bit more faith in the future of the brand. I don't have much else to say about this movie. The rated R entry of Deadpool into the MCU, the return of Hugh Jackman, who we thought we was never going to see again after we done cried our eyes out at the end of Logan. It gave me everything that I wanted. I mean, going to the world premiere here in New York City was another level of enjoying this experience, but the cameos were unbelievable. Like, jumping out of your seat cameos. Like, I just haven't had that experience in a movie in a long ass time, so there's no way that it wasn't going to be number one. I couldn't get over the writing in this movie. This is some of the most self-aware writing I've seen in any movie. The MCU is literally telling us, hey, we know we done lost our way. We know y'all are tired of these multiverse stories. We're trying to figure it out. Like, the fact that they did that, I just was like, okay, faith in Kevin Feige restored. The ball's in your court now, Captain America 4. And if I'm being honest, I don't have much faith in it. But if that movie lets me down, I'll always have Deadpool and Wolverine to remind me of the good times. Boom! And that's this year's list of my favorite movies of 2024. Listen, I hope you guys don't mind that I came across a little casual today. Is it okay that I just pulled up in my little holiday onesie? I'm kind of on vacation, so I wanted to convey that. I was doing less of the scripting and stuff. I wrote down my list and all that kind of stuff. But I was just kind of give y'all some plain old regular talk. Listen, this was a very interesting year for movies. I saw a lot of movies. I should have counted how many movies I saw so I could be like, oh, you should watch 150 movies this year. I really don't know how much movies I watched, but some of them were really good and some of them were really shitty. I've never done a top 10 worst movies of the year. Maybe I'll do that for 2025, but I think this list was one of my easier ones to make. The order I moved around a little bit, had to get Wicked in there and all that kind of stuff, but I enjoyed making this list for y'all. I hope you guys get to check some of these out. I hope you guys comment your favorite movies of the year, but you know the drill. We don't make these videos without my thank yous. Listen, this was the biggest year for the channel. We are approaching the 5-year birthday of Tait's Take. I watched last year's video and I said, guys, thank you for 17,000 subscribers. I watched the video from 2022 and I said, guys, thank you for 7,000 subscribers. Now I am thanking you guys. We are at 31,000 subscribers. I watched the first one I did, which was a 2020 list of my favorite movies. I think number one was Soul. It was a tough year. And I said, oh, I never thought I would get to 2,000 subscribers in my first year of YouTube. If I make this video next year and I say, oh, I can't believe we got to like 50 or 60,000, so I would be like, this is crazy. But a huge freaking thank you to every new subscriber that joined the journey this year. And you already know. An even bigger shout out to the day ones. If you was around for the 2020 list of my favorite movies, however shitty that video looked, listen, make a comment, please. Y'all really keep me going. I love that you guys watch this stuff. I know a lot of you guys love the reality TV stuff, and I'm going to keep doing that. But movies will always have my heart, and I'm never going to stop talking about movies, and I hope to do a lot more. I hope to go to a lot more film festivals next year. I hope to just really grow the channel and give you guys the content that you're looking for. And I just truly appreciate your support. These comments, they really keep me going. This video, I'm not even going to hold you. A struggle to make. Not because of the list and figuring out what's number 1, 2, 3. It's just this city is so loud. And then my neighbor is doing construction and I had to stop so many times. And I said, why am I doing this? I could just do it another day or just do a live show or just put my list on a post in a photo and that's it. But no, you guys give me so much. You deserve me to go through these small hurdles to create a video for you. when you guys write stuff like, oh, I had a long day, I was stressful, work was annoying me, and you come and watch Taste Take, I'm like, whoa, that's what I do. Whether I put on Michael Jackson because I had a long day or annoying day or a sad day, I'm just like, I love being an outlet for some of y'all to just chill and not think about whatever's annoying you. So here's to 2025 where I could continue to not be annoying for you. And if I do annoy you, here's to me doing that even more, because I could be extremely annoying. You got to talk to my sister about that. You got to talk to her about that. Okay, this is what we will call in the business a ramble, but at the end of the video, whoever's still watching it, you deserve to ramble. I have to say these thank yous, and they gotta be long-winded, because that's the only way I know. That's why I can't do YouTube shorts. I just talk too much. Again, thank you for the support. I don't even know what year 1 Tate's Take would have thought about year 5 Tate's Take if he had a prediction. He probably thought he would have 1 million subscribers, if I'm being honest. My early YouTube days was ambitious. But it is a grind, and I will work every day to get new subscribers, and I will work even harder to keep the ones happy that I already have, because you guys make the channel. So whatever you guys want to see more of, put it in the comments. I'll try to do it. I hope you guys all have a happy and healthy and prosperous 2025. It's a quarter century, by the way. I hope people are recognizing what's happening here. So don't waste the time. Thanks for the time, y'all. Peace. Hey, okay. Honestly, listen, after all that ranting and rambling, if you think I'm going to come in here and continue to ramble, you'll be correct. No, I'm not going to ramble anymore. I actually haven't eaten today, so I think I need to do that.